Thank you. Thank you very much, Faye. You know, the difficulty of speaking after very powerful speakers, and I think Glenn has been denying us an audience with N. Now we've just discovered that N is actually the better speakers of the McQuack family. Let's give her a hand for that. I just want to reflect on one or two things from the speakers that came before me. And what came out very strongly for me and was being in charge of your life and determining what comes into your life. You know, and I will never forget that. Whenever I see the remote, it will always remind me of what you said, that who is actually turning the buttons, who is determining what I have to do and how I have to do it. I also went all over FA, listening to all the speakers and paying a lot of money, coming out with nothing, until you guys brought me here. And I had a discussion with a young man earlier today, and I said, whenever my batteries are getting depleted, I know where to go. I look for the next Map for Life event, and I get fully recharged. And one of the messages I got from Brian Welsh one time, I was asking him, but I did send you an email, you never responded in time. He said, you know, Gwen, my attitude to emails is that they change my plan. If I start off by going to my emails, I have to respond to the emails, I have to act on the emails, because somebody else is determining how I have to do my day. So he says he goes through his plan for the day, and somewhere, you know, around the afternoon, he wants to check who wanted to chat with me. Because at that time, his plan is the one that is going to be manifest and not somebody else's plan. And I just felt that I should reflect on this whilst it is still fresh before I come to the story of the day. Another thing, Anne, that I got from what you said is that I actually got a message one time. There was a parents' evening at the CBC where my grandchild attends. And we had one guy who is a professor of whatever, but mainly communication, but doesn't use a cell phone. We found it very strange. Because, I mean, that is what we brag about, cell phones, the sizes, the what, you know. Also getting into what people say, what the trend is, am I cool enough to be, you know. And he said he is coming to speak to us parents, because he asked the question, how many of your children and grandchildren have cell phones? Half the room had their hands up. And he said, the sad part is that you are not only the only parents of your children. All those people who communicate with your children are in charge and they have access to your children. At times when your children revolt at certain things that you want to introduce in their lives, it's because they've got this other father or this other mother who sends WhatsApp messages, and because they are kids, you think everything that they're doing is innocent. And they are innocent, and that is why they become vulnerable, because there are adults somewhere. So it is very important. I actually do not like the cell phones for children where they have this number that they are the only ones who have it to open. And no, I need to have access to who is talking to you. So you're not going to give me some graph that people have to sign first or a PIN number, because then the minute you do that, you are hiding. Who are you hiding? Anyway, that is not what I was asked to talk about. But I thought you were going to be very happy about that, especially because I see parents in here, that we need to understand that we're not in charge. As soon as we buy them that cell phone, we are taking part of your parenting into somebody else's hands. And when they start behaving funny, you must know that they haven't started today. They've started quite a long time ago. I'm sure all of you are familiar with, there's a story that has been on this past 2-3 months of 3 little girls who through WhatsApp messages almost ended dead. And their parents could not believe it. But it was planned properly with the parents. This guy said, I just want to show you the power of the cell phone. That the cell phone is far ahead of you as the parent. And the parents, of course, refused. So he said, I'll take three families, and I'll give you an example. I'll make sure that your daughter, who is 13 or 14 or 15, will follow me and not you. Natasha, you know that, ne? Yeah. So what he did, he kept on sending stories like it's a little boy like Jordan or Kumo communicating with this girl. When in actual fact, the messages came from an adult, up to where these little girls had comfort. And then the message went from, when can I see you? Now, because this person is saying the right thing that the child wants to hear, right in inverted commas, captured the child's imagination against that of the parents. And the little girl says, the best time it's for you to come when my parents are going out. They will be going to some church thing between 6 and 8. That's the right time for you to come. So the other one was something else, and so on. And all the time he is getting these messages, he's copying the parents. The parents are saying, but it can't be my little Kate. I've taught her so many times never to follow strangers, never to listen to strangers. And up to where, to cut a long story short, because now I'm eating into my time, up to where the guy came to the house and said, now I'm at your house, I'm closer to the door, she's prepared to open the door, here are the messages. And the parents said, it is not happening. And the parents decided to be at the back seat of the car with this guy who's coming to pick up the daughter. The daughter has never met this person, doesn't know. And then this little boy says, because I cannot drive, my elder brother is the one who's coming to pick you up, to take you to this spot where we are going to be at the park or something. It's 3 stories. I'm just trying to mix them together just to be able to conclude. So the elder brother comes, knocks at the door. The girl opens the door. The girl, who has been taught several times by a person like Gwen Mahlangu never to do certain things, never to open the door, opened the door. The mother was almost like dying in the backseat of the car. It cannot be happening. Opened the car, took a little purse, held the hand of the man into the car. And the parents just opened up and said, do you know who is behind you? It's us. You could have died. Anything could have happened to you. So I'm just saying that once we have an opportunity as parents to actually reflect on some of these things, they are scary, but they are happening. Today we have to focus on Women's Month. Women's Month, coming from Map for Life, is very interesting. I met a mapper who mapped the 1956 March of Women, the march that we're all celebrating now, the march that we normally do not speak much about, because in South Africa anything is a festivity. Anything that brings us together to braai and have champagne, we will take that holiday and not even talk about Christmas with Jesus Christ. No, it's how much I can get from the fast foods and what have you to celebrate this thing that you are actually not celebrating. You're just using as an excuse. So this mapper that I met is a lady called Sophia de Bruyn. You will know that in 1956, on the 9th of August, women in South Africa marched to the Union Building to go and exercise their right by speaking to Minister Stradom and said to him, we, as women of South Africa, 4 women who led that march, a white woman, Helen Joseph, an Indian woman, Rahima Musa, an African woman, Lillian Goy, and a colored woman, Sophia Debrey. The 4 of them led 20,000 women to march to the Union building and to say, we do not want to carry passbooks. We do not want to carry ID books, because in the South Africa of yesterday, men will know it. At every corner, you'd be stopped and asked for your ID. So that South Africans wanted to make sure you are right. I wish some of those things can come back. You are rightfully in South Africa, you know, you are rightfully doing what you're supposed to be doing. Some countries are still doing it. I think we might be able to get back to that place. So Sophia Debrey is the woman that I'm focusing on this morning, because all 3 other leaders have since passed away. She's the only one surviving in South Africa today. And she speaks about this march where she led 20,000 women. She's a very soft-spoken lady. I'm still trying to get breakfast with her, you know, because she's now an old lady. We don't want to lose her before we can get as much information from her. So she says, we led the 20,000 women, Gwen. We had our memorandum. We revised it every time because we wanted anyone who reads it to understand that we are women that can be respected. We understand what we want, and we give reasons why, as mothers, and because women have a 24/7 job. I'm sure the women in the house can attest to that. Our job never ends. We start in the morning until the next morning. We never complain, because not even a single trade union would like to take us, because it's a very difficult job to represent people like us. So we've accepted. But it is not a position that we need to take as we're being oppressed. I take it as a position of leadership. I know everything that is happening in my house far better than my husband. I know when he actually has to be doing certain things. So I run my life, I run his diary. He's got a secretary, but I run his diary because I make sure that it does not conflict with what we want to do at home. So I'm in charge. I know when the cars have to go in for service. I know when the bulbs go off, because I know everything. I know when we're running out of milk. And what he needs is just to have full breakfast, when the milk was bought, how it was bought, why we moved from ordinary sugar to xylitol. He doesn't have to understand that. He just has to have the breakfast, because I'm in charge. I go to the church, they give me a position. You don't have to think that, you know, these men want me to do everything. You are far above them. You know everything. You know who's not paying their tithes in time. You know everything. You are so equipped. You know even when the pastor is off the sermon, because he has to stick to the book of Joshua, and then he just decided to go to Timothy or whatever. You know, in your private time you say, Pastor, but this was not for this Sunday. Power that people give to me. Now Sophie Debrey walks with Lillian Goy and Helen Joseph. They hand out the memorandum. Mr. Stradom understands. He says, I'll come back to you ladies. In no time, all the women of South Africa were not required to carry ID books anymore. But what she tells me is how they did it. Because she's one of the people who hates the marches that are taking place in South Africa today. He says you don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to bring violence. Because your story is what works for you. Your story is what fights for you. And the more polite you are, the more people would like to listen to you. And in most cases, people think that being polite is being stupid. No. Being polite shows that you respect the recipient of what you need to say to, and they will also respect you as a person who understands yourself. Because if you don't respect other people, it always starts with you not respecting yourself. If you can't respect yourself, you can't give what you do not have. You can't respect other people when you yourself can't respect yourself. And respecting yourself is making sure that when you're invited, I'm writing an article about, I wrote something on Facebook. Fortunately, some of the things Glenn does see, discarding people who are not increasing me, people who are decreasing me. And unfortunately, most of them are women. Women like to belong. We spoke about it earlier, Natasha, that even when they know that they are not in their zone, if you cannot sing, don't go to idols. Because you'll get what they call the wooden something. Ne? Yeah. Don't go there. It is not your zone. But if your friends and your family lie to you, they tell you how cool you are, you know, you're going there, you're just going to mesmerize that Somizi and what have you. What do? You go. And you end up being a fool. Because you are not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be something else. Glenn was telling us, a qualified engineer, how many of us are stuck in those kind of things? Stuck in things that you will know very well. When the friends have gone and everybody else is gone, you know that you are living a lie. It is not true what you are telling yourself. You know very well that you want to be an artist, but maybe some people are saying it's not cool to be an artist. When my son grew up, he wanted to be a dentist. And I don't remember encouraging him to be a dentist, because I had certain things about dentists. But it's me. And I killed a passion that the child had. Because every time he would come and I would say, hey, I hope it's not that story of dentist, what have you. Now, do you think he wanted to come home? No, most of the time the university had time, he would say, no, I'm not going there, because there I'm going to be told not to be what I want to do. And when I thought that that was even milder, then he came to me one day having a photography things and what have you. I said, what is going on now? You know, because I was socialized to believe that certain things are not cool. And as a mother who is the glue that keeps everybody in the family, if you don't endorse certain things won't happen. This is not my day-to-day of other women, but I'm part of those women as well. Now, we reflect on the March of 1956. It has happened. One journalist was saying, oh, here comes August again. We're going to be told about those 4 women, the 20,000 women. And after August, nobody does anything. He actually was a little bit, I didn't like what he said, but he said, this is the only time we know who the Minister of Women is in South Africa, because from the 1st of August up until the end of August, she will always be on TV saying the same story that was said 20 years ago, 40 years ago. Now, the legacy that Lillian Goy and those women gave us might be the freedom, might be the recognition about ourselves, might be the confidence that we lacked as women. They've given us that. Their story is a good story. We need to mention it in 2 seconds and immediately move away from that and say, now that we have this legacy, what are we doing? Glenn is very strong on seeds. I want, when I'm planted the last day of my life, to look at plantations that were not there, but that are there because of me. Now, women, today we need to say, where are our seeds? Because once we plant those seeds, they will grow into trees, which will grow into plantations. And our names will forever, whether they are not written in black and white, it doesn't matter. The fact is, people will know there was a Natasha who moved here and who changed this and put it there. And for generations to come, people will always know that it is because of you that certain things have changed. I looked at the number of women in inventions, and I said to myself, I don't think we even celebrate them. I don't think that we even know them. That the discussion around solar energy was started by a woman. We are not taught that. because most of the books are written by men. Women know how to write, but they are always scared. I was telling my grandson that somebody was saying women are like a person holding a kite and going to the right position of the wind, that, hey, this kite is going to fly. But the only problem, they don't want to let go of the rope. So the kite remains there because you are not enabling it to go to destinations that you in your mind thinks that this could happen. And we just need to take a bold step. There might be 2 or 3 people who will believe in you. That's enough. That's enough. Don't sell a story that you want hundreds of people to come to, because most of the time, those people are there face-headed to pull you down, to make sure that you don't go further. If you have 3 people who believe in you, I've offloaded a lot of people on Facebook because I don't need them. Every time I listen to what they are saying, it's not helping me to take the next step. And I said, I'm going to stay with people who are helping me to take the next step. Because I believe that it is through the women of 1956 that I managed to take the first step. And now I need to take second step, third step. But as I do that, there must be a huge queue of young girls who want to be like me. If nobody wants to be like you, your story has not started. If nobody wants to sing like you, walk like you, dress like you, present their stories like you, you haven't started doing anything. And here are women leaders. I was telling you, the thought of the medical syringe also came from a woman. I'll send you an email about all their names and what they have done. The CCTV is also an invention of a woman, by a woman. Paper bag that we carried, the one that was still the paper bag before we go to checkers, and our name is actually, people don't even know whether to greet you or not. Your name is plastic. When you go there, they say plastic, and you almost want to say, yes, that's my name. What has happened? I usually do and ask, what has happened to good morning, young lady? Oh, sorry, ma, how are you? But your first name when you arrive there is plastic. And we have to accept that. And I know some of us during this weekend will go through plastic again. And when you do that, just remember that we spoke about it. But we have accepted certain standards. We have accepted standards to go so low that, and also understand, when I grew up, I was a daughter of any parent that I met in the streets. They could reprimand me if I'm wrong. Today, if people are not your children, you don't care. It has nothing to do with you. That child is lost. That child who says to you, plastic. They are dying for someone to teach them to say, good morning, ma'am, and how are you? And then we can get into whether I need plastic or not. Plastic is not my name. My name is Gwendolyn Lindiwe. I've got so many names. You can use any one of them before you come to plastic, right? So I was talking about the paper bag. The environmentally friendly, you'll relate to that. Environmentally friendly paper bag. The gas-powered heating systems also came from women. A number of things came from women. We don't document their stories, we don't celebrate them, we don't talk about them, and these are people who are leaving a huge legacy for all of us to follow. My husband warned me, said, you stayed so long on the computer, I hope you are going to read your notes and not speak. Okay, they have given us a legacy, we cannot gamble with it. We can still change what is happening in South Africa. There are good men and women out there. Not everything is wrong. We can still change. And you change by making sure that in your own little